There is a law in this town that you will not find anywhere else on Earth. It is not illegal to speed. It is not illegal to trespass. It is not illegal to carry a weapon. In fact, carrying a weapon here is strongly encouraged. What is illegal is to die. Not metaphorically, not as an expression, literally. If you become seriously ill in Longyearbyen, if your body begins to fail in ways that cannot be reversed, the Norwegian authorities will put you on a plane and fly you to the mainland to die there instead. Because the ground here is permanently frozen, and what the permafrost holds, it holds forever. The last burial in Longyearbyen took place in 1950. The bodies from before that date are still there, perfectly preserved, frozen in the ground in the same condition they were buried in. In 1998, scientists drilled into one of those graves and recovered lung tissue from a victim of the 1918 Spanish flu. The virus was still intact, still infectious, preserved by the permafrost for 80 years. This is Svalbard, an archipelago of islands halfway between the northern tip of Norway and the North Pole, a place so extreme that its laws have had to be rewritten to account for things that happen nowhere else. A place where 2,400 people have decided that this frozen, dark, polar bear-patrolled, legally complicated to die in archipelago is exactly where they want to be. And by the end of this journey, you will understand why. Svalbard sits at 78 degrees north latitude. To understand what that means, consider this. The northernmost point of mainland Alaska, Point Barrow, one of the most remote and extreme places in the United States, sits at 71 degrees north. Svalbard is 7 degrees further north than that. 7 degrees of latitude that contain the difference between extremely cold and the edge of the habitable world. The archipelago consists of 9 main islands. It has a total land area slightly larger than West Virginia. Glaciers cover more than half of it. In winter, the sun does not rise for 4 months. Not weeks, months. From late October to mid-February, the people of Longyearbyen live in complete polar darkness. 117 consecutive days without seeing the sun above the horizon. And yet, Longyearbyen has a university center, a hospital, a supermarket, a swimming pool, several restaurants, and a population from more than 50 different countries. It is the most international community at this latitude on Earth. Norwegian, Russian, Thai, Filipino, American, British, German, Polish, all living together in a valley that the Arctic could close off from the world in an afternoon. The no-dying rule is the most famous law in Svalbard, but it is far from the only unusual one. In Longyearbyen, it is required by law to carry a rifle whenever you leave the settlement boundary. Not optional, not recommended, required. Because outside the town limits, you are in polar bear territory. And the polar bears of Svalbard are the largest land predators on Earth, weighing up to 1,500 pounds, capable of running at 25 miles per hour, and they have no instinctive fear of humans. There are approximately 3,000 polar bears in the Svalbard archipelago. There are 2,400 humans. The bears outnumber the people. Longyearbyen also prohibits being born within the settlement. Pregnant women must travel to the mainland before their due date to give birth in a proper hospital, which means that everyone born in Svalbard was technically born somewhere else. You can spend your entire childhood here. Every memory you have can be from this place. But your birthplace on your passport will say Tromsø or Oslo or wherever your mother went to have you. You cannot be born here. You cannot die here. Your entire life in Svalbard exists between two absences that the archipelago has decided are too permanent for this place. Longyearbyen did not exist because anyone chose this place for its beauty. It exists because of coal. In 1906, an American entrepreneur named John Munro Longyear established a coal mining operation on this frozen archipelago and gave the settlement his name, Longyear's city, Longyearbyen. For the next 80 years, coal defined everything about this place. The miners who worked these seams lived in conditions of extraordinary difficulty. The cold, the darkness, the isolation. In December 1920, an avalanche killed 26 miners. In 1953, another avalanche killed 6. In 1962, a mine explosion killed 21. The last commercial coal mine in Longyearbyen closed in 2017. The town that coal built had to find a new reason to exist, and what it found was the Arctic itself. The University Centre in Svalbard was established in 1993 on the premise that the most extreme environment in the accessible world is also the most valuable classroom. Students come from around the world to study Arctic biology and geology in conditions that no other university can offer. You do not read about permafrost in a textbook. You walk on it. In the side of a mountain on the outskirts of Longyearbyen, there is a door. Behind that door, 130 meters into the frozen rock, is the most important insurance policy the human race has ever taken out: the Svalbard Global Seed Vault. Inside its 3 sealed chambers, at a constant temperature of -18 degrees Celsius, sit 1,300,000 samples of the world's agricultural seeds. The permafrost that makes it illegal to bury the dead here is the same permafrost that keeps these seeds viable for centuries. Even if the power fails, the mountain itself would keep the seeds frozen for 200 years. The vault has already been used once. In 2015, during the Syrian civil war, seeds that had been deposited for safekeeping were withdrawn, shipped back to the Middle East, and used to restart the collection that the war had destroyed. The end of the world is also the safest place in it. And if Longyearbyen feels remote, consider this. 120 miles north of Longyearbyen, there is another settlement, Ny-Ålesund. Population, 35. It is the northernmost permanently inhabited place on the face of the earth. 35 people, all of them scientists, in the most remote research station in the accessible world. Doing science in the dark. In May 1926, an airship called the Norge took off from a hangar in Ny-Ålesund carrying 16 men and flew over the North Pole. It was the first confirmed flight over the top of the world. The hangar is still there, preserved by the permafrost. In Svalbard, nothing decays. The past is always present. On October 26th, the sun sets in Longyearbyen. It does not rise again until February 15th, 117 days. This is called the polar night, the dark time. And yet, life continues. People walk to work, children go to school. The Norwegians have a concept for this: Koselig. It means cozy, but it is actually a philosophy of warmth as resistance to darkness. The candles in every window, the fires kept burning. Warmth deliberately made against the cold that is simply there. On February 15th, the schools close early and the people of Longyearbyen walk up the hillside to watch the sun rise for the first time in 117 days. It stays above the horizon for only 11 minutes, and the people watch every second of it. They eat marzipan cake and drink coffee. They celebrate what they have in the 11 minutes they have it. And in the darkest months, before the sun returns, the aurora comes. 117 days of darkness. And inside those days, nights where the universe speaks in colors. People who visit Svalbard always ask the same question: why would anyone choose to live here? The people who live here find the question strange. Not because it doesn't have an answer, but because the answer is so obvious to them that they have trouble understanding why it needs to be asked. They live here because of the light, not despite the darkness, but because of what the darkness does to the light. When you have lived through 117 consecutive days without the sun, the return of the light is not something you take for granted. The 11 minutes of the first sunrise are 11 of the most noticed minutes in any year. By June, the sun doesn't set at all. The polar night becomes the midnight sun, and each phase is extraordinary because the people who experience it have also experienced the other. They live here because of the silence. Outside the town boundary, the silence of the Arctic tundra is unlike anything available in the lower latitudes. It is the silence of a world that is operating completely without human input. And occasionally, you hear the soft crunch of 1,500 pounds of polar bear moving across the snow, which is why you carry the rifle. You live in their world. You follow their rules. You arrive here. You cannot be born here. You cannot die here. And in between those two absences, if you learn to move in the rhythm of a place that has its own rhythm, you get to live here. Really live. 2,400 people, 78 degrees north, 117 days of darkness a year. You cannot be born here. You cannot die here. But if you come, and if you learn to listen, you can live here. And that turns out to be enough. So would you go? Could you live for a winter without seeing the sun? Tell us in the comments. We read every single one. Subscribe so you don't miss our next journey. Until then, remember, the most extraordinary lives are rarely the most comfortable ones.